Child, Carmen Carrera. Girl, why Carmen Carrera spread them lies talking about Angel from Poe's storyline was based off of her? Why do Carmen's melanemic adjacent want to claim that Pose has anything to do with her and her life, honey? I've been told y'all, honey, that you gotta keep your eye on the milk toast. Didn't we just finish talking about Ron? The milk toast. Child, it's still milk. But during the summer, it looks a little toasted, bronze. Yeah, honey. They try to claim they brown when it's convenient. Yeah, y'all know. The Caucasian passing Latinas. Carmen Carrera. Carmen Carrera said that they try to say that it's about Tracy Norman. What did she say? Let me read her exact words, honey. They made it seem in the media that it was the Tracy Norman story. However, so many elements, twists and turns didn't match, and the fans noticed it throughout. I mean, listen. You want to rip my story off? At least pay a girl. And I think that's the crux of the problem. Ain't nobody been talking about Carmen Carrera, thinking about Carmen Carrera, or paying Carmen Carrera. But here we go. You got your name back in the media, didn't you, whore? Huh? Child, not even going to reference the source because they a fool, honey, and clearly don't respect Ballroom. Honey, they tried to pull Lena into it. Yes, House on Fire Lena. Lena Bloom, Sports Illustrated first trans model on the cover. Honey. Lena's comments had nothing to do with Carmen Carrera. Nobody was thinking about Carmen Carrera. We know that Angel's story is based on Tracy Africa Norman with touches from Carmen Extravaganza and Octavia St. Laurent and plenty other girls in Ballroom since. My good sis Aeon, honey, comments. She is not the only trans woman who married a cis man with kids. The storyline could have been about any trans women's. Carmen claimed that they ripped her story off because Angel married a cisgender man with a child. If y'all watch Marsha's Plate, then y'all know that during my single journey, I have dated more than one cisgender man with a child. I've had the opportunities to be with cisgender men with children in long-term relationships. I didn't choose them before, but now we getting older, honey, and the picking is a little slimmer. You know the dating pool got shit and diarrhea in it, you know, piss, everything. Honey, the chlorine ain't right. Anyway, my good sis Dominique Morgan. Y'all know Dominique, I'ma dig in that ass nicely, Morgan, honey, yeah. She had something to say to Carmen before I could even get anything out.
Child, I don't have long, because I have back-to-back meetings. You know how you be sitting still and don't nobody come around, and then you turn on the camera, and that's when the things get to rustling. Nonetheless, Carmen, here's the thing. This is not a bashing video about that lady. I don't know that lady like that. What's up, Ricky? I want to talk about, this is bigger than the conversation around Janet. Listen, I'm going to give a moo-moo. I'm going to give a comfortable set. This is bigger than the conversation around what Carmen says is that the producers of Pose stole elements of her story to create the story of Angel Evangelista. This is bigger than that, which I think is foolery. Because there are components of everyone's stories in the stories that were told on Pose. That's the power of what Pose was, is that many people saw themselves in those stories. Even when a character was directly kind of in honor of a person, there were ebbs and flows that allowed people to see multitudes of experiences in one character. That being said, what I want to talk about is something that I don't think we discuss enough, is how the Latinx trans girls oftentimes engage in anti-blackness through the lens of calling black trans women out, purporting that they are calling black trans women in, and it's deeply harmful. Also, I'm juxtaposing this against the live I did talking about Rose Montoya and what's been discussed around the trans masculine folks who have shared their experiences with her, and how none of her pages have been taken down. There has not been a mass exodus of her followers.
We're going to get more into the Rose Montoya of it all tomorrow. Wine With Me Wednesday. That's a little preview on that. But Carmen responds to Dominique.
On your timeline, it's fake news. If you guys are seeing any of this on your timeline, it's fake news. I never thought I'd be using the terminology fake news, but I fill you in. I made a Twitter post speaking about an experience that I had with the writers of a TV show called Pose. I really wasn't trying to elaborate much on the situation because Twitter's that girl. You say what you gotta say, you keep it moving. So I get a DM from a journalist named Joey that works at Entertainment Weekly who wanted me to elaborate more on the story and give more context and details. And I thought to myself, I haven't spoken about this in a long time. This is something that happened a while ago, and maybe this is my opportunity to get it off my chest and just never think about it again. I have nothing to hide. I'm an open book. So I said, sure. And I began elaborating on the events that took place. So this is part one of what I sent him. You can pause if you need to. This is the rest of it, part two. Pause if you need to, but regardless, I'm gonna explain. Back in 2019, they were casting for season 2 of the show, and they requested me to cast for the role of a bartender. Along with my audition tape, they were also sent an electronic press kit that included my biography, various parts of my story, what I've done in the press, and a feature about my wedding. The reason that my wedding was included in my EPK was because I was the first trans person to get married on national television. We were featured in People magazine, and this was just a big moment in television, and also just for trans people and inclusivity and possibility. Anyway, so the role that they sent me was literally a one-liner. It was just one line, not even 2 seconds.
Girl, why are we even talking about you auditioning as a bartender, honey? Girl, I thought you would have been at least auditioning as Angel or somebody. And you talking about this wedding being a big television event, honey. I love queer television. I didn't even know that you and your butch queen had got married on television. Okay.
It's up there. Now, during season 2 of Pose, there was a lot of talk about one of the other characters on the show named Angel, whose storyline was based on a real model from back in the 80s and 90s named Tracy Africa, who was unfortunately outed for being trans and then ultimately fired and had to deal with a lot of the stigma of being a trans woman and working in the modeling industry. I never heard back from casting about the one-liner role, but I know how Hollywood works. I have worked in acting before with multiple roles with more than one line, and sometimes you get the part and sometimes you don't. It's not that big of a deal. So season 3 comes around and the character Angel gets married with a stepkid and family. Now, this story is not common for trans people, let alone trans people in the media. And it's my story to tell. Granted, it's very important to show accurate trans stories told by trans people. However, you give credit where credit's due. Just like Tracy Africa got credit for Angel's storyline in season 2, I should have received credit for season 3 storyline, or at least been invited to the writer's table. Now, remember that guy Joey, the reporter? Why did he title the story "Ripped Off Her Life Story" for Pose? I was very specific about what part of my story I was speaking to, but the press decided to make this headline to ruffle up some feathers, stir up drama, and create fake news. So now you got people like this creating content about me, saying that I'm delusional or bitter about not getting a one-liner role. Or people like this saying that I'm promoting anti-blackness. Now, regardless of what goes on within the LGBT community, more specifically the trans community of light-skinned girls versus dark-skinned girls or vice versa, projecting those types of issues on something that has nothing to do with the topic is just wrong. And also, this is about business. Imagine you sharing your story with a group of writers, they ghost you, and then all of a sudden, your story gets written onto the show. You're gonna feel some type of way. This situation reminds me a lot about a previous situation that I had with a certain TV show that wasn't allowing trans people who perform in drag to compete on the show. I received so much backlash and disrespect from my own community just for speaking up about trans people, including us on the show, and being respectful to how you refer to us. Ever since having those conversations, and not only me speaking out, but other trans people that have been on the show, we have been able to be more inclusive to trans people on shows like Drag Race, leading to some of the most amazing moments. This Pride season, take a couple of moments to be there for your community members. And when somebody shares a story or something that's really important to them about a part of their life.
First of all, and the Drag Race girls, y'all gonna be able to back me up on this. You were not a person who helped push the narrative of trans women doing drag. Number one, Miss Thing. We read your tweets, honey. Ain't nobody spitting that tweet. Miss Thing, you made it very clear that and you're making it you doubling down in this video that you deserve some type of compensation or something because you happen to be one of the transgender women who are known publicly as a wife to a cisgender man with a stepchild. Girl, somebody clock her ass out. Did y'all get into the picture of Dominique that she used? Of all the screenshots that you could have taken, you did it on purpose. Anti-blackness, honey. Miss Thing, you talking about somebody needing credit and somebody should pay you your dues and blah, blah, blah. Do you think that by the time your bartender line audition came about that they hadn't already considered marrying off the biggest love story in the damn series, honey? The love story that began in first season?
Here's what I found.
Siri, girl, if you don't bust down, Siri, stop. Siri, stop. Girl, your government police ass. Always fucking listening. Ain't nobody talking to her. Carmen, you owe your whole public existence to black queer femmes. RuPaul, whose platform you went on and claimed to be a man that had no interest in being a woman. We met you as a man. That's why you had nothing to do with this agenda of trans women, because you declared on Drag Race, didn't you, that you didn't want to be a woman. After you got eliminated off the second first, third episode, you didn't last half the season. After you got eliminated off of there and that went nowhere, and then you transitioned publicly and that was your only claim to fame, then you had to come for T.S. Madison. You don't remember that? When you talks about how Madison doesn't represent you because you're not a sex worker and blah, blah, this, that, and the third. No, you never had to be a sex worker because you a microwave that transition overnight. With the help of your popularity that you got from RuPaul, you were able to profit on your transition like a lot of you clear girls are, honey. Transparent, see-through. And Carmen, we see through you. Just like we saw through you on Drag Race when you were saying that you didn't want to be a woman. Now we supposed to trust that you know what you thinking. Girl, stop. You still got a lot of work to do. Is your butch queen as delusional as you? It's the lack of melanin, or is it the blonde hair dye? Something is causing the synapse not to be synaptic. Yeah. Girl. That's what you go by now, right? I just want to make sure you sure. Girl, you the one went on national TV making declarations and shit. Honey, when I was unsure about my gender identity, you damn sure wouldn't see me on television talk about, I would never. Honey, you should have been talking about that with God. And you need to talk about your anti-blackness with God now, because it is just a coincidence that you can't get along with black transgender women or any public black trans woman you can't get along with. I got distracted because I'm looking at my girls in your comment section now. And Danielle Alexis, another white passing Latina, is the only one who seems to be on your side. That's just a coincidence, ain't it? I know y'all say I talk about race a lot. But at this point, honey, it's just a coincidence, ain't it? I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm crazy. Even though it's a thin line between crazy and genius. Dominique had more to say, honey, and we're going to give our sis the floor, honey, because she's my sis, so she's y'all sis when you're here.
Listen, I don't have long. And we just adopted a damn dog yesterday. So, you may hear things. But I am coming live for the purpose of the people, the black trans folks who have inboxed me, concerned for me, feeling anything in regards to anything that Carmen said in her video. And I want to say this, that one, when you choose to comment or involve yourself in anything that's happening in the world, you damn well better be ready for people to comment or respond back. Period. When you open up these apps, when you say the things, you better be prepared for what that means. And I've been having opinions and expressing things long enough to know that's a part of it. So Carmen was well within her right to create a rebuttal. For the people who are upset with the screenshot she shared a screenshot from a face that I made in that video. And this is one thing I want to say. I started my transition in March of 2020. For the last 4 years, trans women who have been transitioning for 15 and 20 years seem to want me to be upset because they don't think I look the way that they look. That's like me walking into a classroom with some kindergartners and being mad that we don't read at the same level. You should look better than me. You spent 2.5 decades curating an aesthetic. The problem is all you have is an aesthetic. That's the problem. That's the problem. And so I'm not bothered by that. That doesn't activate me at all whatsoever. And the hope is that I would come back with some rude comment or the woman is beautiful, which I said in the initial video. And I'm going to repeat what I said in the initial video because I stand by it and the way she approached this. And the people who are the hallelujah section in her the Perez Hiltons of the world further substantiate what I said. Non-black trans women engage in anti-black cases and anti-black behavior consistently under the guise of calling black trans women out, under the guise of getting their due, under the guise of them feeling like they're being erased. And they don't go at white folks that way who are in the trans community, and otherwise they don't go at their fellow Latine community in that way. I stand by it not only because I understand how the world works, I stand by it because I've experienced it. It wasn't just that she thought she got a video picture of me that was unattractive. Their perception is, I won't get mad about her taking some picture of me because I truly don't believe that they think we can be attractive. But I want to talk about, I'm going to close with this because I'm not going to be on here long. These girls have shown us repeatedly that they will go get the vaginas, that they can get on all the hormones, they can get all the surgery, they can get on TV. They can transition this outer shell, but the inner always remains the same. The most beautiful exteriors, the insides be rotten. There is no hormone that can make you be emotionally mature. Dr. Miami cannot engage in giving you intellectual maturity. It just isn't possible. It just is not possible. And I don't care what you say. For you to make that statement, you truly believe that you are so deep in culture, that your story is so unusual that an entire trend was created off of you. And many of us disagree. And I believe behind your audacity and foolishness is anti-blackness, narcissism, and the fact that you don't know your benefit in this world right now because you got the thing that you thought you were supposed to have and you have it and it's not enough. It's not. And that's a story for all of us. That's a story for all of us. And also, I want to name that in that video, I talked about, yes, Carmen was a piece of it, but I went deeper in saying that Rose and multiple other people have demonstrated that non-black trans women who ride the waves of black trans movement benefit from our rhythm, but they are never impacted by our blues. And they are, in fact, a part of our blues. And I stand by that. I don't care what anyone says. We don't have to agree. We don't have to agree. And you making some video and putting a picture of me, that doesn't change anything at all for me. And you didn't address the real piece of it. You want all them Latinx people in your comments like, oh, Erica Mena is under your post talking about I love you. Bitch, I rest my case. Erica run around here calling people monkeys. While she hunching up and down on a black man having all these black children. Those are your co-signers, daughter. Those are your co-signers. Those are your co-signers. That's like me putting up a post around being educated and goddamn me radio coming under there and commenting. I think one of these kids are doing their own thing. But again, she has the right to say whatever she wants to say. And again, when you get into conversation, which I did, then you can be thrown into other conversations. I'm never gonna be mad about that. But also, bitch, I said what I said. And I meant it. Just like I responded when you DM me and you said, why did I tag you in it? I told you why. I told you why. Because my statement stands. None of you bitches scare me. None of you. And if your social media impact was that great, you wouldn't have to be crying about your story not being told. You would be telling it. So I bind you, Nancy, from harming yourself and harming others. So young girls, let this be a cautionary tale to you. One, say what you say and mean it. Because then no matter what happens, you stand on it and you live by it. And I try to do that at all costs. Even when I say some shit where I'm like, nobody's gonna like this, I gotta be able to sleep at night. Two, the conversation wasn't even like reading her. It was not a negative towards her. I don't like how she approached it, but she wanted to attack me and she wants me to attack her back, and I'm not gonna do that. And last but not least, girls will get the face. Girls will have a man. Girls will have a vagina and still have nothing. Still have nothing. So, I'm gonna stay in my house coat. I'm gonna go back and do my work. And I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my afternoon.
If I don't have you, nothing, nothing, nothing. Girl, honey, bonding, we bonding Nancy in the name of Jesus. I can't even back that up. And I ain't even gonna try. Nope. How y'all feel about it? What are y'all thinking? Nothing. Transistor, everything is still about Carmen. When I do the IG edit and the TikTok edit for this, that's going to be the tag. Carmen. Honey.